Happy 13th. It is December 13th. Hopefully everyone is having a good happy holidays. Merry Christmas. What is going on with the markets? Not so much stocks, but crypto has been incredibly volatile. So here, we'll just jump right into it because today we've got the Fed meeting, and the Fed meeting is happening in 3 hours and 11 minutes, 2 p.m. Eastern. And they're more than likely not going to raise interest rates, which is great, which is perfect because we are screwed if they do decide to raise rates again. We are hoping that they pause, cut for next year. And we will see if that actually happens. This is a determining factor if the bull run has completely started or not. If they decide to, or Jerome Powell, if he decides not to raise interest rates, then we are good to go. The bull runner is active and we are ready to go. So here, let me just share you something about mortgages right now. Mortgages are down barely anything, 0.01. They had a high for a 30-year at 8% and a low about 5.99, currently at 7%. 2 years ago, we were at 2.25, which is freaking insane. A 15-year is at 6.5, which isn't that much better. These are incredibly high interest rates. Yeah, if you're older than a millennial, you remember rates being 12 to 15%. And truthfully, for us to have another real estate boom, these things need to go below 5. If they go below 5, all bets are off. People are going to borrow money, do all sorts of stuff. So let's get into some of the Bitcoin liquidations. Over the last 24 hours, 167 million has been wiped, mainly longs and some shorts. And the shorts, did they just happen? Right? Just happened. Shorts are... Yeah, everyone has been worried about Bitcoin and everything going lower. Truthfully, guys, I just bought a half a Bitcoin this morning, right around $41,000. And that's me, right? I've got a long-term plan, and that's my HODL wallet. That is what I'm doing, removing some profits and loading them into a Bitcoin because the majority of my portfolio is about 50% Bitcoin and then 30-40% Ethereum, and then I got some other small caps when it comes to XRP, Chainlink, that sort of thing. That's my HODL wallet. That's not my trading wallet, but let's look at this. Okay, so this is Ethereum. Should we start with Bitcoin? Yeah, let's start with Bitcoin. So on Bitcoin, we've got this wedge. We've got this range where I've got some trend lines here, and we have somewhat here. Let me just move it. If I move it, that's what's difficult about drawing trend lines is they can always be moved. So there is a little bit more of a finesse when it comes to trading rather than a science. But this is looking good to me. This looks like a strong market where we have been just hitting in here. Yeah, we could use all sorts of indicators. I'm just showing you guys just simply here. And that next setup is right at that 48,000, which is what I have this line here. A lot of people have been calling for this line. A lot of people want to see us break down and bounce off of this $38,000 to $35,000 mark before we go up. And that's one of the things when it comes to looking at Twitter and all sorts of stuff. When you're in these chat rooms, it is sort of a sign when you see a bunch of people trying to go one way or the other. Like what I just showed you with the Bitcoin shorts. Most of the liquidations have happened in the shorts, not the longs, because everyone is expecting it to go lower. And we just, boom, just popped over $42,000 this morning. And it's all in anticipation of the Fed meeting that's happening here in about 3 hours. So you need to take that into consideration. And the massive volatility we've been having, if we go on to the hourly or anything, we had this massive liquidation candle and then a pump up. and then down again, and then a pump up, and we couldn't break above the 42. Boom, boom, boom. And now we're starting to kind of break above it, but there's a pin bar happening here where that is something to be wary of, where it's like, okay, is this a fake out? Is this a fake out? Because right here on the hourly, we can see a rising wedge forming, okay? We can see a rising wedge where it's going to get squeezed, and then we can get back up to our $42,000 to $44,000 mark. That is something that I'm looking out for. And if we get confirmation here of this breakout, and this is going to happen in here in 45 minutes, if we can get another candle that breaks above this, that is going to be good. And if I'm looking at Ethereum, Ethereum is up. Ethereum, it looks freaking identical to Bitcoin with the same rising wedge pattern here on the hourly. Are we going to be able to get above that or not? And we had a high of 228, which is getting rejected right around this key level of support. The interesting thing I see here on the weekly, if I'm looking at the weekly, if I move some of these patterns down, okay, and I can do this with another trend line. What is that again? That is another rising wedge. And what typically happens sometimes to get a confirmation here on the weekly is, well, we will bounce back down. That's right around 2,000. That would be the next target for Ethereum. And then after that, boom, there goes that 25 that I've been talking about, and potentially the 28. That is what I'm looking at. You could also draw these lines just a little bit differently and have this sucker go up just a little bit more. And if I do that, well, if I look at the daily, we have basically touched that with the liquidations that we have. And if we also look at that wedge that we have, boom, we have hit the wedge, and it's time to continue to go back up to that 25 to 28. For me, these are setting off signals of purchasing right now. If I'm looking at the S&P 500, well, we have got a confirmation with another wedge pattern here. And on the weekly, we could see this sucker go back down and pop back up to get to the 48. Okay, everything is looking, every chart is looking very bullish. Very bullish. We'll see if Jerome Powell gives any hawkish news. We'll see. But that is my overview of the S&P 500, is this looks good. If we can stay above here, close the week, that is all bets are off. We are staying above now. Now this line is now support as opposed to resistance. If it comes back down and comes back below 4,300, which would be a healthy correction, but also a bummer because quite a bit of money is going to be wiped off. If I'm looking at treasuries, what are treasuries looking like? Well, they're looking as if they're ready for a bounce too on the weekly. Okay, because we've got another trend line here. Oh, what did I just move to? Move that up here. I need to zoom out to get this guy going because we've been in an upward trajectory for quite a while, right, on the treasury. So this would be a normal, see, it's looking like another buy too, just by simply looking at the weekly. All right, let's look at silver before we go to gold. Looking at silver, silver is testing its support. So either everything is going to bounce or everything is going to crash at some point. And typically that's what we see with a lot of commodities, a lot of crypto, at least a couple of top ones. When money is flowing out of the market, it flows out of everyone. Gold, what is gold looking like? Gold has been broken down. And I believe I got another rising wedge on the daily. Okay. Yep, it has broken down. It's been conformed. It is getting caught with some support. If that doesn't hold, we could potentially see it start breaking above yet again as well for gold. And crude oil has been just getting hammered. You can see a little bit more downwards pressure, but there might actually be a catch here for a nice reversal. How does the weekly look? Yeah. There's looking like there could be a nice little catch on crude oil happening right now. Because, yeah, that's actually a better trend line to be putting it in here. I like it. Again, everything is looking as if they are getting ready to bounce. Have I checked out natural gas here? Let's check out natural gas. And again, we are finding support. All these guys, at least on the longer time frames, are looking as if they are ready to bounce. I am bullish on almost everything at the moment, especially with the Fed meeting coming here in 3 hours. Ethereum, Bitcoin, they all look very bullish. They are getting some nice confirmations and some ideas of bouncing off of certain trend lines. Here, I can remove that because those are more on the daily. I am not seeing this sucker go back to 38,000, or if I would have bought the half a Bitcoin that I had at 38,000. No, but I got filled at 41 and a half. I spent $21,000 this morning. So, and I'm holding it for the bull run because that sucker, I might end up selling that sucker once Bitcoin hits 100,000 or maybe some more. We'll wait till I get some sort of a scenario top for what's going to happen. But the next couple years, especially into the election, are going to be saucy and sexy. Not saying we're not going to have these crazy liquidation candles yet again, because that's what we're going to have this happen, right? Where there's a 10% dip. Here, it's showing my screen. We're going to see a 10% dip at some point yet again because there's so much algorithm trading. And this stuff is all based on technicals and how can you be on a good procedure. So truthfully, you need to have decent stops. And so if I was to say enter right about here, yeah, hell yeah, my stop would be somewhere in the middle of under 40,000. I don't want to have my stop way down at 38,000 because there's a good chance that that sucker's going to bounce off of there, right? I want to be confirmed, boom, that I get stopped out and it's not going to continue to go downward. Well, it's going to continue to go downwards and I don't want to lose any more money, right? But if I put my stop somewhere in here, well, there's a good chance it's going to ride back up and I'm going to be pissed because I just lost a crap ton of money. So you either put your stop right down here in the middle, or you put your stop down here around 33. And if you're going to have a stop around 33, well, now you're expecting Bitcoin to go to about 50, 60 to have that make sense as far as that kind of a trade. And that's going to be a very long-term trade in here, right? Yeah, I'm ready for the news. We can see if these suckers stay, because this is in anticipation. This is buy the rumor, sell the news is what they're doing. And if you watch one of my videos I posted yesterday, I show you how to trade once the news actually happens on the 15-minute chart. Is you're actually supposed to wait for confirmation of when that is going to happen, and then you pick a direction and you're able to keep the trade open for the rest of the day or close. But this one's weird because when it comes to stocks, it's closing the news is happening at 2 p.m. Eastern, and most markets close around that 3 p.m. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But guys, this is Johnny Crypto. I'm here to help you guys make some money, and I am bullish. I am bullish on a lot of things, and if we can stay above 2,200 on Bitcoin and stay above 42-ish, 41 on, did I say Bitcoin? Ethereum, 2,200 and 42,000, 41 for Bitcoin. Really, you could bounce right off of that 40, but we already did. Don't think we're going